Hi, dear ones. It is always a pleasure to sit here and talk with you and go over good stuff. I know a lot of you are out there working and helping others. It's just amazing. Every day we have people visit us here that are out helping others. Some want to help in kitchens and help in prisons and help in hospitals to change dietary considerations, which is great. Others are out there practicing and helping others get well. And so it's just a great thing. So keep it up. I'm so proud of each and every one of you. And those of you that are hurting, get deep inside of you and grab yourself. Grab it and fight through this. Because if you've been on a lifetime of steroids and pharmaceuticals to fight pain and things, it can warp you out. And we just see this every day here now with more and more people getting warped out on these chemical medications. And it's your world. No one can help you but yourself in reality. So dig deep and ride the bull. Ride it until you get yourself well. Because there's only one road to Wellville. And that's reversing how you got to Hellville. That's simple. Just back up and go reverse. Meaning you can't eat the same things. You can't think the same things. You need to change your lifestyle. You start enjoying yourself more. You're just a visitor here, just like we all are. We're here, we're gone. So just look at it that way and play and have fun. Don't hurt anyone, keep yourself straight, and know that everything in your world is self-created. All right, so we're going to do a bunch of eyes. I promised you that. We got Drew here. We're going to do some eyes for you. I wish I could do more for you that way, but I wanted to address this quad that I addressed before. He wrote me, and I wanted to address him here. Let me see. One of his questions, he said, you said to have already helped reconnect their spinal cord C4, C5. I actually had a C3, C4 spinal cord injury that we reconnected totally. C3, C4. An amazing case. So that's just a next higher level here. And she did manage to wean herself off a ventilator. And I forget how she said she did. One of very few C3, C4 quads that are on ventilators. Anyway, he said to help people reconnect their spinal cord C4, C5. It is reversible by simple natural means, according to you. And is that in some individuals, this reconnection is impossible? I don't know what to say about that. I haven't seen anything impossible. I think if you live with the world impossible, you'll never get it. I think you have to change that idea of impossibilities. Because as a spinal cord individual, you know one thing's for sure. There's nothing on this planet to help you. So who cares? Challenge me. Challenge yourself. Because there's nothing out there. Stand-aid devices, you'll be doing that till hell freezes over. That's not going to regenerate tissue. And of course, I watched it with Christopher Reeves playing the Stand-aid issue, and Mima Project and all these projects like that. They're not any good. You can play with electronic devices, but your body is a regenerator. Learn that. Learn that physics and chemistry rule the day in this physical universe. And that if you apply those laws to your health issues, you'll find something too cool. And that is regeneration of tissue, whether it's trauma or acid-induced from your lymphatic systems. You know, either one. And I say jump in full bore because there's nothing else out there. And at the very least, if you could never reconnect, everything will be cool because you will have some degree of changes to where your stools will be better, everything's better. I don't know if you stool on your own, you need help, but everything just gets better, better, better. The acute eyes, you don't get bed sore or, anymore. There's just so many things that are better, better. You don't get the skin things, the spasticity's low, all the things that are involved that you have to deal with because you're sedentary. So your lymph system and kidneys, and why did your body not repair your injury in the first place? Because the AMA can't fix anything, we walk around thinking that nothing can be fixed. And, oh, look, somebody's over here regenerating. That must be voodoo. No, it's not. This is physics and chemistry in action. Understand the two sides of chemistry and energetics. And you're talking about a neurological system here. So all of that. And keep in mind that your cerebral spinal fluid is the lymphatic stuff. Let me see here. Do you think I could get in touch with those people who have help to heal? Absolutely. And there's one YouTuber, he was a paraplegic though, big deal. Well, either way, it's location, right? Little big deal in terms of mobility, but get a hold of him. He was on the YouTube. He got walking in 6 months or something. I can't remember his name, but we could look it up. I could get that information to you. And then you see the Rogers. Matter of fact, get our video, even though you'll see the C3, C4, and she's not living with us anymore, but see what she got accomplished. And you'll really dig on that. That's cool. That was the most interesting case that I had, was a C3, C4. Head-on car crash, complete spinal cord separation. Totally plated up and scarred up like crazy. Had no feeling anywhere. Moved her wheelchair with her tongue. And I can tell you, she had feeling every single place on her body, regenerated herself, new neural pathways, amazing stuff. But when you think about it, that's nature. You get damaged, then why the nervous system? Why is the nervous system such a hard sell for practitioners to regenerate? Because you can't do it on cooked dead food. You can't do it on the type of lifestyle people are eating. That's what's making everybody sick. You got to go to the living foods that are vibrantly, energetically alive and chemically proper. And when you do that, now your body is feeding off of that, and it loves to be well. But you can't judge the world out there with what's going on, because nobody regenerates, because everybody's eating cooked dead food, dead animals, and stuff like that. And you're not going to regenerate anything. And in fact, we showed you, and you can prove it on yourself. Get yourself on a fruitarian diet for about 6 months, and then take a knife and cut yourself. See if it hurts, see if you bleed, see how that is, and then just start eating meat again, and then do the same thing and show you the difference. It'll be in your face to why healing is proper on a fruit diet, and you don't see it on a highly acidic, putrefactive type diet. You don't see that. And you're not going to, because you see decay on the acid side of chemistry. And if you wallow in the acid side of the fills, you're gonna pay those prices. And that's what people are doing. They're playing too much on the acid side of the fence. And then medical doctors are just giving you more acids. So everybody's playing in acids and wondering why they're getting burnt and hurt. Wrong side of chemistry. It's not the dominant chemistry on the planet. If it was, you and I wouldn't be talking here. So I would jump into this, my friend. What do you got to lose? Nothing. And you ain't going nowhere either. So you might as well get in there, because if someone gives me any hope, I'm on it. I'm on it. Because I'm not going to sit in a friggin' chair all my life. So I'm going to investigate anything, and when I talk about regeneration, explain it to me. And I've taken a lot of videos to explain to you guys how you regenerate. All you got to do is sit your butt down and ride the ride. It's fun, and it makes you feel good. And especially anybody stuck sedentarily, whether it's MS or any type of spinal cord injury or any type of neurological condition, you ain't going anywhere, so what to lose in taking on the concept of regeneration? So have fun with this. All right, so we're going to go do a bunch of eyes right now. And so I'm going to come around. You know what I want to do, Drew, is I want to start off showing them a little bit about the limb system again. Mm-hmm. You know, so I'm going to throw a few eyes up just a little bit, but we teach you more in level 2. So let me get a few of my props going here. This is a real bad limb system here. Ooh, yeah. You want to see the sulfurs? True brown eyes. Okay. All right. Ooh, this is a pretty eye right here. Okay, here we go. Rock and roll. Okay. Now, for a minute, you guys might want to take a picture of these. This is the best chart I can tell you, because I like Dr. Jensen's chart, or a typical iridology chart. I don't agree with German iridology, so I don't use their charts. They're pretty similar, though, basically. You know, I mean, people can argue over what's what, but truthfully, they're pretty similar. But these are the charts. This is from New Zealand, and this is a good chart to show you all the different parts that they found. Remember, iridology is a simple science discovered by a surgeon in the mid-1800s. And it's a simple understanding that the nervous system, as we were just talking about, sends messages. And these messages are frequency messages that have color, shape, size, everything. When you look at frequencies and you look at energetics, it has everything within those frequencies, from sound, colors, everything within these individual frequencies. And so it's easy to understand that the communication from the cell to the brain is there. How does the brain know how to send hormones or steroids or whatever to the cells? Because there's a communication between the cells and the brain. So why would you not understand then that that same pathway, the autonomic pathway that hits into the optic nerves in the back of the skull, also translates those same electrical frequencies to the iris? And it does, and that's just what they found. So what you're seeing is simply a reflection of the condition of the cells. So how do we look at that? And so this is how the latest charts are developed. What they found, the body parts where you have the head upstairs here, notice right around the pupil is the stomach area. That's your stomach, right around the pupil. That's generally about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch wide. And then immediately outside of the stomach is wrapped the gut. The large bowels are wrapped on the outside of the eye, and then the small bowels on the inside. This is very predominant on most eyes, and when we get to the eyes, I'll show them to you, but this area is predominant most of the time because that's where man's biggest karma is right here. This is where man has literally ruined his gut tissue with all the dead animal meats and all the high protein diets and the grains and the sticky gluey gluten proteins and stuff like this. It's all about bad proteins, and this is just what's happened. All the dairy proteins have filled the body full of mucus, have filled the bowel walls full of mucoid plaque. The lymph systems are backed up in the bowel walls, getting malabsorption. These bowels are prolapsed in most people, spastic, all types of bad ways. So this is a basic chart for you to go by. I'm just going to do this one more time to show you what the lymph system looks like in an eye. Now, this would be considered a strong constitution and a fairly decent lymphatic eye here. Now, notice this is the blue eye. And you can see all these little fibers that emanate out from the pupil, like a wagon wheel or a wire wheel, where you have all the little spokes that emanate out from the hub to the outer rim. And that's what you have here. Underneath these are the rods and cones. Here's your GI tract. This one's a little small, but it goes right around the pupil. Now, in this eye, you'll see a little bit of white stuff here building up here. It looks like a little white cloud, not real thick, but a little white cloudy stuff here. That's the lymphatic system, and it's the only way you're going to see the lymph system. The lymph system exposes itself on top of these fibers. If I go to the eye next to it, notice how much more white it is. See all this thick white stuff? And if I get out toward the outer rim, which is the skin, notice that big dark ring around there? That's the skin. Remember, your skin is one of your kidneys. And so when you see a dark rim, that means you have weak skin because all tissue is made of cells. So this is a weak skin, probably not filtering. So their lymph system has locked in here, and all this thick white stuff is lymph. And all these little dots, you see all these little dots, white dots, those are lymph nodes. And when you start to see your lymph nodes stuck like that for years, that's the concern. So people that are unaware of this have a lifetime of this, then we have to come in and try to break this stuff loose, and it's just a tough sell. Here's another eye with a lot of lymph in it. Now notice that there's orange in this eye. Well, whenever you have lymphatic problems, you always have bacterial problems, and the simple reason is lymph is your sewer system, and you're always going to have bacterium helping you to break this system down because it deals with acid waste from the cells. So, medical doctors don't understand that, of course, and they, instead of cleaning your terrain for you and getting rid of the acids and the inflammation, they go after your helpers. They go after the bacteria, and this is probably from sulfa drugs, antibiotics. And we know that. We've discussed this many times in these videos, that this is not a good thing. This is gassy, bloaty stuff. You always feel gassy, bloaty. You'll have high fungal problems with this, and that's sulfa drugs. And it's in everyone there. Take a look at this white eye. I was just drawing the bow, the shape of the bow in this eye, just to give you some idea how aberrated it is. That's a prolapsus. When you see this bow wall sinking toward the pupil, that's a prolapsed condition. When you see a little pocketed areas, you could have pocketed areas. Spastic areas are like a V almost, where you have a spastic area in the bow, meaning your bow gets down about that big around. But all this white, when you get a client like this and it's thick with white, they're going to be a while. That's a lot of work to get someone out of there. Well, this is all acidosis and real bad. Now take a look at this brown, thick brown ring around this pupil. That's a malabsorption ring, meaning this lymph system is so backed up, it's backed up in the bowel wall as well. And since that, you can't absorb your nutrition through thick mucus. That's why when you start detoxifying, you start to see mucus threads coming out of your stool. Lots and lots of mucus. And it's all from these foods and stuff. Okay, let me show you another thing here. What color of an eye are we looking at? We're looking at a blue eye. See the blue? But look at all this brown. This brown is sitting on top of the blue like a rain cloud over the landscape. And that's just what this is. This thick brown stuff is heavy lymph. And by the way, this is a colonel's wife here, but this lady, it was solid brown, and I only saw one little speck of blue in her eye. This is her second picture after 3 months of detox. But her first, I just saw a little speck of blue, and I looked at her and I said, honey, your eyes are blue. And she looked at me and she says, you're nuts. Just like that. Well, her husband's a colonel, and my hair kind of went up in the back of my head, and I said, you know, I'll bet you $100 the day you were born you had blue eyes. And she looked at me and she says, you know, my mother said I did have blue eyes the day I was born. So when she came back, she couldn't believe her eyes were starting to turn blue again. Here's another blue eye. Look at all this thick lymph here. See all that thickness right in there? Some of it's brown, some of it's yellow. Well, there's 4 stages. There's acute, subacute, chronic, and degenerative. The acute stages are basically the simple stages. You're just now creating inflammatory problems. You got a clear mucus going on and build up a mucus. But when it becomes subacute, you become unaware that you have a problem. You start to swell. The eyes start to turn yellow. And then you start to move toward, and that can be a state of hyper or hypoactivity within the tissues. However, when we get to the chronic stages, you can always count on that being hypo. And all this brown in a blue eye is, of course, chronic stages. When you see black in any eye, that's degeneration. And you don't want to see black in an eye as much as you can help. And these are just more of eyes that are thickened. Now look at the sinuses. The sinuses in the head area are on top, of course. And so look at the thickness of this head area given down below. And it shows you how difficult it is for the head area to keep itself drained. Even though they found the new lymphatic system and it deals with the cerebral spinal fluid, you can probably correlate that with weaknesses down the back. But all these patterns, you see all these patterns? You don't see patterns in this eye, but look at these patterns here. Look at all these patterns. These are lacunas or crypts, depending how deep they are. You could call them lesions, you could call them iris patterns, who cares? But the deeper, the darker, the more serious. Now notice this one we're looking at right here. Right around this pattern, you see a thick white or yellowish wall. Dr. Jensen made a comment on this to me. He said, this is, in a genetic weakened area, this is the lymph system not being able to filter well. And boy, was he right on. And that's what happens. In time, if you weren't doing well, this will close this tissue right off and destroy it. Because in nature, the strong survive, the weak are consumed. So when you have a weakness in your body struggles to get rid of it. It's always wanting to rebuild and strengthen. So, now look at an eye like this. We've already showed you this eye before. This eye has nothing healthy in it. This is a blue eye. You see there's no straight patterns here whatsoever. So this is a case where at age 30 she had cervical cancer, at age 32 she had thyroid cancer, and she came to me at age 34 with pancreatic cancer. And by the way, she's still alive and well today with no pancreatic cancer, but it took me a year to do it. This is a tough case, no question about it. But when you have everything weak in your body, you're in trouble. I put her in a hammock and nothing but juices because she wasn't digesting anything. Now, one more thing we'll show you. This is a true brown eye. And how you see the lymph in a brown eye is variations of brown. So if you'll notice, you have a lighter brown in places, and then you have a darker brown in places. And notice these little rings here, like the age rings on a tree? That's your nervous system, and you always see it when you see chronic adrenals. And this is a chronic adrenal right there, kidney and adrenals right there. And of course, now you have the nervous system being impacted. When you see these sort of things, of course, you know your clients are working, or you are walking toward MS, Lou Gehrig's, or something like that. Your energy, you're going to have chronic fatigue, you're going to have all these things. All right. Now, with that said, okay, so we're over these questions. So what I'm going to do here, I've got so many of these, I'm going to try, you guys are going to have to pick out your own eyes here a little bit, because I'm going to try to deal with these. Okay, now I don't know. The name on this is Joe's mother. So Joe's mom. It's a little dark for us to see here. You can put a little more light in here and you'll lighten this eye up. But the one thing that shines out real bright on these eyes is you see that white, it's almost like a white rope that goes around the pupil. What is that? We just talked about it. What is that white rope around the eye? That's the lymph system backed up in the intestinal wall. So when you see that, you're always going to see a brown ring around the pupil, which is a malabsorption ring. And so now you know what causes malabsorption. It's back to the lymph system again. Well, how do you get that loose? Because that's probably locked in there really, really good. That's why the GI broom. Stringents. And of course we're trying to hydrate those areas interstitially, meaning around the cells, to loosen it up, because acids suck out, dehydrate, burn the electrolytes, and lock things, make things hard, like rocks. Well, you've got to loosen things up sometimes to get them out. Anybody ever had a dry cough and you're pulling and pulling and you can't get anything up? That's exactly why. And after a while it breaks loose and you cough it up. Older people can crack their ribs doing that. So it only makes sense to start hydration. This is all acidosis. So you see the lymph system building up in the body here. This is, and I'm just going to go through this real quick. Here's the thyroid. Here's the throat problem. You want to fix this throat problem because this is the throat, and a little impaction on the upper C-spine. This is your lumbar spine down here with inflammation. This is the uterus right here. I would get in there and detox that and strengthen the vaginal wall. You have the kidneys right here. Over here you have the groin and appendix. And then you have the hip. So she's got a right hip going on. You got to get these kidneys going. I would get in the gut, open up this lymph system here. Now this is the pituitary area and the pineal. So this is real close to the pituitary or pineal. I can't tell which one. It's enough to say either she has insomnia, then it's her pineal gland. And you want to go after that. You go after that with a pineal glandular and take one or two a couple hours before sleep. We got some bronchioles there. This looks like right ear. Going here on the right side, the forehead is full of mucus and stuff. Where are we looking at?
It's upside down.
You want me to look at it here?
It's upside down.
Oh, this one's upside. Oh, yep, this one's upside down. All right, you're right. All right, sorry, Mom, I had you upside down. Well, you see this little blood vessel here? That's going right to your lower back, and that's your lower back on the left side, and this is your mid-back. Here's your kidney and adrenals on the left side. This is your left chest wall here. So there's some weaknesses in the left breast area, so be careful with that. A lot of mucus in the bronchial trunks here. Again, there is a little bit of pineal. Be careful with this. This is the mastoid area there. But you got good genes, Mom. You just got your skin's down here. You're not filtering. It might tie into this thyroid over here. So you want to get your thyroid up and invigorate yourself. Your sclera isn't as white as it should be. You have all these blood vessels. That's inflammation through your body, but this is all your lymph system. So you got good genes, you got a lymph down. And I take it this is Joe. So that's Joe's mom, and look how close Joe looks to Joe's mom. Look at those eyes, Joe. So you can see Mom. However, Joe's got a little more going right on in here than Mom does, and that looks to me like rectal wall and rectal flexure. If that's your rectal flexure, you want to work on your gut a little bit, because this is a common place for the medical terminology of cancer. You have a little spasticity right here, either in your groin or where your femur goes into the hip there.
Renee's husband just called asking for you.
Oh, well, I don't care.
You don't want to call him, right?
Oh, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to Tom.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to work on the letter.
Okay. Again, we got lymph nodes, Tom. Look at these lymph nodes out here by your skin. You have that skin ring like your mom, and you got lymph nodes right here down your left chest wall here. Your heart's got a lot of congestion in there, so you want to detox your lymph system out there. It'll be easy to get congestive heart failure in your future, so be careful here. Thick lymph down your back. I don't know if your back is stiff and tight, but you got a lot of lymph down your back here, Joe. You want to get that. Here's Joe's. Well, that's left. Here's Joe's right. Okay, so here we go, Joe. Chronic adrenal. See that adrenal gland? It's almost black here, so you got to take care of that adrenal gland, Joe. Kidneys right down below. Here's your groin area. You've got a pancreatic weakness right here, and a right testicle. Bronchial trunk again, kind of like Mom, but you're building up in your lungs, Joe. You got to clean out your lungs here. You got some lymph nodes swollen in your lungs. As a matter of fact, all three lobes on your right side here. Again, here's pituitary with Joe here, and almost like Mom. Right side, pituitary, pineal, throat. Here's your throat weakness that Mom has. A little bit of skin again. So we've got fairly good genes, guys. You just got to get into that lymph system and clean this up. Get into upper circumbrain nerve. You got a couple spots in the head area. Not bad, though. But get up in there and clean that up. Get your skin breathing and everything else, and you'll be in good shape. Okay, this is something I went over and asked for them to send me in the eyes. And let's see, she's Italian. She loves pasta, pizza, and all the good stuff like that. She's having digestive issues since she was born. Her mother always told her when I was an infant I was very sick because I used to vomit every time I ate. Remember, we talked about that and what they're doing to the babies that are doing that now, the new knitting procedure where they tie the stomach around the esophagus and then shoot Botox up the butt. And this is ridiculous, crazy stuff. So she has esophageal reflux. They're blaming the pylori, of course, obvious, stuff like that. She's got tendinitis, osteosclerosis. Let me see what else I'm looking through here. Yeah. So let's take a excuse me, let's take a look at this eye here. Okay, now let's look here. Right around this bow wall, you've got some of these little radii solaris. Radii solaris are these little black lines that emanate out from either the pupil or the bow. These are genetic lines. They do emanate a little bit up into the transverse bow. Not really bad here. You got great genes here, but what color eye is this one? What color eye do you think this one is? This is either light brown or blue. Really hard to tell. I'm going to guess they're blue, but you won't know for sure until you start moving this lymph system out of here. But you can almost see the blue shining through here in places, or green. Green, there is no green in a brown eye whatsoever. Pupil's a little small, but you got great genes here. If I want to pick on you, you've got a gallbladder right there, not happy. So you want to deal with that and get that gallbladder. Here's the ileocecal valve. So you just want to tone the bowels up. Here's a I'm either looking at the pancreas. I'm not mapping these out because it just takes way too long. I'm either looking at a little right hip or pancreatic. So, excuse me, take that into consideration. That's definitely a gallbladder. Your kidneys aren't genetically weak so much, but you got thick lymph backed up in your kidneys. That'll break them down. That's acids in the kidney itself. That'll break them down. You do have some nerve rings here, not a lot of them, but that shows the adrenals are down too, and your nervous system's down. A lot of congestion in the throat, in the skin, really backed up in the skin. Stomach, so-so. You have to be careful about cholesterol in your world. You're starting to get a little violet hue up here. See that little violet hue? And a little bit of coming cataracts possibly, so you want to be careful with that. It's poor circulation. And the next thing, it'll change itself into a translucent cholesterol ring. Again, skin is down. Good genes here, thick lymph. If this is a blue eye, you can know how much lymph you got to deal with. If you're brown, you're real light brown. And that's okay. But you want to get into those bowels and clean them out. You got a little malabsorption going on. Most of the darker brown is around the bowel wall here, just like we said before. You've got some nerve weakness here, cuts through the left chest as well, but not bad. This is a good eye to deal with, get healthy. This is a groin area here. Here's your adrenal on the left side, much better. So you gotta get your skin to open up. That's a little thyroid, but here's thyroid. Lymph is heavy into the thyroid. Open that up. Get all this opened up here. Get your lymph moving. Get yourself sweating, because you got great eyes. Great eyes. But you got to get into that gallbladder and liver just a little bit. This is unknown. No name was signed to this. So let's take a look at these. There should be enough light in that one. All right, so here we have the same thing. See this thick white around the pupil? Again, the GI tract is a very bad area in most people, and this is essential to drain the head area, is to get into this gut, because it sits right on top. The head sits right on top. As you see up in the brain area, you've got a couple of weaknesses up here. See these patterned areas here? These are weaknesses, and this is up in the cerebellum and the mastoid area, so you have to be careful. This is equilibrium, dizziness area here. You got inflammation up in that area, and you're starting to get a lymph node swelling right up there, so be real careful here. Here's a little pituitary weakness with a lot of inflammation in your pituitary. Drain your sinuses, because that can create a pituitary tumor. You want to be real careful. And here's also pineal gland. So here's another person probably has restless nights and pituitary going right over to the parathyroid and thyroid. Big time want to work on those. You definitely want to work on your parathyroid here. This is throat, so you got a little throat weakness going on. Upper neck here. You got lymph nodes swollen down your back. This is skin again. Not too bad. Most of this is shadowing. Here we have a groin, a little bit of a kidney here on this side, a little prostate if this is a male. I'd say that your hip, you got a lot of inflammation in the hip. The gallbladder stuff don't look too bad. Bronchial trunks maybe a little bit here. We come over here on the left side of your body, the same thing. See how thick you are in the gut? You're malabsorbed here. You want to move all this mucus out of your bowels and stomach area, because this is really shutting down your GI tract. Here's lymph nodes in your back. This is, you've got down your left side of your spine, you've got weaknesses all down that back. Throat, you've got throat, C-spine, T-spine, L-spine, S-spine. So you've got all involved here. A little more kidney on this side here. Kidney, groin, spleen. You want to think about your spleen. If this was a female, your left chest or breast area is definitely an issue here, weak and a lot of inflammation. This cuts through your lower lobe of your left lung and a little weakness in the upper lobe. You have 2 lobes of lungs on the left side, 3 on the right. Here's an ear going on and more cerebellum and more pituitary. See, all this is frontal lobe of the head. So you got a little deterioration maybe up in the frontal head area. Looky here, we're getting into major thyroid here and throat weakness here. This is parathyroid. You want to work on your parathyroid. Look at your skeletal systems are showing exposure all over the place. So you're going to have when you start detoxing, you're going to have a real sore throat one of these times. I can just tell you, you got to know. Those that have weaknesses in your throat or mucus, you're going to end up with a sore throat as you clean all that out. This is bronchial trunk, close to the heart area though. A lot of mucus, congestion in there, so be careful. Okay. I only got one eye here. This is the left eye. Let's see, I appreciate you charge for eye reviews, but thought you might find mine particularly intriguing and would love you to quick. Yeah, oh, absolutely, Dan. Absolutely, my friend. Okay, so this is typical out there where one side of the body filters better than another side. So sometimes when you're given a vaccination or a shot of something or med, sometimes it infiltrates one side of the body only, and we see a lot of that out there. We have one lady where half her eye is red, whatever that chemical was, and of course she has brain pressure to match it. It's just unreal. This is either a chemical or it looks to me right off as chronic lymph buildup. But it could also be chemical. It could be a pharmaceutical that you've taken that's lodged in these tissues, but it looks to me also like chronic lymph as opposed to a chemical. If I had to give my best thought on that, I'm going to say this is more chronic lymph. But again, don't take it out to be a chemical. So why do I say detoxification is the golden key? Because it's the only way to get rid of this. And get rid of this you can. You can pull all this out of here. But it's saturated your back. It's saturated up toward your throat, your tonsils, down your back. And then this is all groin, kidneys, leg, and groin on the left side. And it's just either a chemical or chronic lymph, and it looks to me like a little more chronic lymph. But again, it acts like a chemical too, hard to say. But look at this in your bowel wall. See that rope? You're getting a little yellow there, and that's the subacute stages coming in. Remember, there's 4 stages: acute, subacute, chronic, and degenerative. This would be considered, if this was brown and this was lymph, this would be considered chronic lymph. This would be considered subacute lymph, and this white in here would be considered basically acute. Now looking at your left eye here, this is near the spleen, so be careful here with your platelets and your white blood cells, bronchial trunk, although hearts can move. Again, left chest area weakness, but pretty good genes up here. You know, got a little pituitary going on. This, I say little because you see how that's not a real heavy dark mark up here in the pituitary area. So it's not that weak, but it is weak enough. You want to clean your sinuses up a little bit, get this bowel wall cleaned up, and start absorbing your foods good. Thanks, Dan. Nice eyelashes. Eveline, what do we got here? Right eye, 3 of 3.
Wow. Look at
Wow.
that. I like that one.
Wow, is it the same person? You think that's the same person?
No.
Yeah, it is the same person. It's just a different take on the eye. That's why eye pictures are so important. Because take a look at these 2 eyes. This is actually the same person. When you don't have a good enough eye, you got a lot of reflections and stuff. See how it changes these markings? Like when you see this eye, look at how you can really see her weaknesses or his weaknesses right here. Let's see, oh, this is she. But when you look up here, you can't hardly see them. So it's really, having a good picture is everything, because if you looked at that and then you looked at that, you'd almost think it was a different eye.
I did.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have something similar going on with the left field. See how they can drastically look different, but they're the same eye. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay, let's look at these. Well, if you were judging whether this is a strong constitution, a medium constitution, or a weak constitution, I would say a medium constitution. Now, this, in my opinion, is probably a blue eye. If it isn't, again, it's really light brown down here. But it looks blue to me. But again, could be light brown. You have to move the lymph a little more so we can see down in this area where the lymph is fairly cleaner than up in this area. Again, her bowel wall is way out here where others are not so much. There's different thoughts on that. But look at all this activity, all these spots right here. And this is the right eye. So this is the forehead. This is all up in the middle areas here. This is the tonsil area, the thyroid area, and the throat area. So honey, you got a throat weakness, a thyroid weakness, a parathyroid weakness. Your tonsil there is probably gone or not happy. You see how light this is here? So that's either blue or light brown. But your back, you got upper neck, this is lower back, or coccyx, tailbone. You're getting down here toward the bladder area. Here is the uterus. There's a little deterioration, it looks like, in the uterus, if you still have it. A lot of lymph, so that would be endometriosis. Your vaginal wall is full of lymph. You want to clean that up. Your leg here, you've got an upper femur weakness and a lower weakness in the ankle area. There's your adrenal gland stuck right up in there. Here's your hip, your right hip and pancreatic area. You want to get into those, clean up the bowels here. Chest area. Now, you want to get up in your brain, sweetheart. This is up in the head area. This is cerebellum here. You got a lot of inflammation in the back of the head. You got some chronic areas up in the brain, to say the very least, in these areas. If you look at this, your left eye, you're thick up in the head area, really thick, lymphatically speaking. And you've got to clean this out of here, because that's why you have Alzheimer's, dementia, strokes, all these sort of things. Coming around here, your back is weak in the upper back all the way down to the lower back. We've got a little bladder involvement right here. Kidney. Your leg here, your left leg is full of lymph and inflammation. Here's a groin area, possibly a hip area. Your left chest area is weakened area. You want to be careful with that. And there's a weakened spleen area there. But up here is your shoulder area, your ear area. Those are areas of genetic weaknesses that you have. So you've got a fair amount of genetic weaknesses that you've got to get in and deal with. And that's the beauty of this. You can get into this body, you can sew these things up and get all this stuff out of you. But your bowels are chronic, no question about that. And you just want to get in there, get the skin cleaned up, get your kidneys filtering, and dig in your lymph system there.